Hey there, this is Dr. Pam Perry, and I just love, love, love the Black press. I talk about it probably every single week in some form or fashion. And I'm so excited because we have a legacy fourth generation publisher of the Afro newspapers out of Baltimore. So I'm excited because one, I think I know her cousin who has been Bishop Vashti Murphy McKenzie. We'll get into the all history about that, but it's so important right now about Black voices. Black voices matter. Amplify your voice, especially what's going on in our country and how there's such a divide. But what we're going to talk about today will be uplifting and inspiring and encourage you to always have faith and believe in the Black press. The Black press has always been there for us, okay? And that is always going to be as long as we are African American. All right, so we're going to bring up Dr. Frances Toni Draper right after this.
Welcome to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast. Join Pam Perry, veteran PR strategist, Emmy award-winning producer and publisher of Speakers Magazine, who will show you how to crack the code in getting out there to get known. Each week, she either interviews her media friends, PR colleagues, or she just goes solo, offering you strategies on publicity, publishing, and platform building. So listen up to hear how to get booked on media places and on superstar stages. Now, here's your host, Pam Perry.
Hey there, hey there. Oh, Dr. Frances Toni Draper. It is so good to see you. It really is. It is. I'm so excited. We've been planning this for a long time. I've been chasing you around for a while.
We have, and I'm glad. I'm glad to be with you on tonight, Dr. Pam Perry. This is a privilege to be with you. So thank you so much for the invitation.
The thing that I really love about you, one, is that it's legacy, like it's a fourth generation. So kind of give us the how it started and how long ago, and then how you're related to this lady here.
That's a lot. Okay, so we're doing business now as Afro News. We're no longer a newspaper.
Okay, Afro News.
But the Afro-American Newspaper, and was newspapers at one time, 13 print editions, was founded in 1892 by our great-grandfather, mine and Bishop Vashti's, John Henry Murphy Sr., with $200 in venture capital from our great-grandmother, Martha. That's another whole story.
Wow.
So when reportedly less than 2% of the Black population could read, this Civil War veteran at age 52 with 10 children formerly enslaved, when reportedly less, I think I said this, maybe less than 2% of the Black population could read, had the, I call it, as my mother would say, the unmitigated gall to start a newspaper.
The audacity, right?
Right. Audacity, right? To do that. And here we are nearly 133 years later, but we're no longer a newspaper. We're an IT company.
Because you move along with what it is. It's people they're consuming news in digital format in rapid paces, and so really a media production company, like you were saying. Every Thursday you do a show, and that's what part of that, you're using StreamYard and all the tools. So give us a little bit of background of you. So your family has been in this, in the news business for a long time, and you could have done something else. I mean, it wasn't like you had to.
I did do something. Most of us in my generation did something else because our parents were consumed with the family business. Their parents were consumed with the family business. So the founder was consumed with the family business. So by the time you got to the fourth generation, it was almost an unwritten pact. Let's find something else to do besides this. But of course, we did it on the weekends. We did it school holidays. We then went to college to do something other than, even though a couple of us did major in journalism, I wasn't one of those. And we went different career paths.
Okay.
But every summer, every weekend, and some of us were on a junior board, as our parents thought we needed to learn. And we learned about the business really sitting at the dining room table.
Oh, I love that. That is That is not typical. That is not typical. I mean, probably the longest legacy business for African Americans may have been maybe funeral homes, but even then they're like 100 and something years old. And
Right.
but it's very rare for what your family did. And so I just applaud you all for doing that. So what was your major when you went to school? I know your great grandfather,
Well,
one of them was
my great grandfather was a founder. So I'm fourth generation, but we have fifth generation working in the paper, sixth generation, and a seventh generation person that's born, of course, at not quite 2 years old. She's not in the business, and so we'll
she will
tell
be.
her. We'll tell her later. But to answer your question, my undergraduate degree is in Spanish education.
Really?
Mhm.
Oh my god, not even Afro-American lit, just a
Not
Spanish. Yes,
No,
right.
no, and I did a lot, we did a lot of writing growing up. I was always fascinated by different cultures and that type of thing. Taught school for a little while, but I liked school and I liked learning. And so when we
Mm,
say we step back from the family business, as the young people would say, don't get it twisted. We wrote. My grandfather said, "Can you walk?" Right. That means you
mhm.
can you can write. So we wrote, and so I've done a lot of different things in my career, but my longest tenure has been with the Afro off and on. So I was a New Jersey branch manager in the mid 70s. I was president of the company from 1986 until 1999, and then
Okay.
like my cousin, I went into ministry and I was a full-time pastor for 20 years.
And
But
see, that's even unusual for you and Bishop, Bishop being women in ministry, because
it's
during the period of time, there was no women in ministry.
Well, there are
They
four
can
of us in the same generation. Yes.
Are you serious? Oh my
So,
god, and she writes too. I mean, that's just like it's just in the blood. Everybody's writing, telling stories, and they are really communicators. That's really what it is.
and we grew up, as I said, writing. We grew up in public speaking. We grew up expressing ourselves in a variety of ways to get our point across in a way that people would hear us, whether we were writing it or whether we were saying it.
Speaking it. Mm-hmm.
So we grew up and we grew up working hard. We also, we grew up as Bishop McKenzie, myself. There were 16 of us in 16 of us who were first cousins.
Wow, that's unusual.
So my grandfather, Carl Murphy,
Mm-hmm.
had 5 daughters. I think much to his disappointment. I think, but he loved his 5 daughters. So he had 5 daughters, all of whom, except for maybe one, went to school to be a journalist. They all went to Big Ten schools because the University of Maryland would not admit Black students.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Maryland paid their tuition.
Mm.
So you have that lineage, and then we have in the family 5, or in that same 16, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 preachers.
Wow. That's amazing to me. And so it's not just like little preachers, like, oh, we got little storefront churches. I mean, Bishop is like we're like talking about like major congregations, right? These are
She's
these
our
are
she's our dean of the 5.
right.
Yes, she is. But see,
Yes, yes.
my grandfather, Dr. Pam, was publisher of the Afro for 40 years and a prolific writer of prayers. So
Oh,
I just
okay.
published 100 of his prayers. Just wrote a book that Our Daily Bread published called Prayer and Pen: The Prayers and
Mm,
Legacy of Carl Murphy, publisher of the Afro 1922 to 1967. We found 100 of his prayers, and I was curious about, what may have prompted these prayers. So we dug through the archives and pulled some things, so the book has pictures from the archives,
ooh,
historical articles from the Afro, and it talks
mhm.
about Black life in the 30s and 40s and 50s as well. Because you said it best: if we don't tell our own story,
Who's gonna
right,
tell it? We
who's
have to
going
we have to really we have to keep track of our own history. So Our Daily Bread published that.
to? They
That
did.
is out of Grand Rapids, and they're probably over 100 years old themselves, I'm thinking, at least. And it's not, you're probably some of the few African American authors that they published, because
Well,
you
let me
all are
give
just
yeah,
trailblazers on
yeah.
that, because that is not typical either.
Let me
Because
give them their
I'm in
props,
Michigan, so I know how Grand Rapids is. Okay,
right?
let's just
Right.
say that.
I'm gonna give them their props. They have a division called Voices
Oh, that's the
in
African
our
American.
daily. Yes.
Yes,
So
yes,
in their Voices, I'm gonna call it a division. They may call it something else. That's
right.
all. That's all African American authors,
Yes,
including Susan Johnson Cook and others who are in that collection.
that is good, because for a long time they did not have any voices, any Black
Absolutely
voices. So
correct.
that is good. So what do you think? I'm going to get right to the elephant in the room
Okay.
of what is going on in our administration, in our country, the racial divide. Now, the only time we saw anything like this in really our lifetime, I'm a baby boomer, so I saw some of this in the 60s, and then a resurgence of this in 2020 after the murder of George Floyd. People were marching all over the world, and then even they put Black Lives Matter right in the DC area. Now we have a resurgence of getting rid of DEI, and Black people don't matter. This, if you're Black, get back, that kind of thing. So what do you think is your position right now? I know prayer is going to be one.
Well,
That
yeah,
is
but,
for sure.
yeah,
So I'm so glad that you have those books, right?
yeah.
Those prayers.
Well, my grandfather used to say, once you finish praying, you got to get off your knees and do something, right?
That's it. Faith that works.
So part of what's going on, I think, is a distraction.
Okay.
And I think we have to keep ourselves really, really focused on the fact that America belongs to the citizens, not to one person, first of all. Two
That's
people.
right. Or two people.
Or two people. And we have to stay focused. Even before the present administration, there are too many of us who are not at the table, who are suffering from lack of proper health care, housing, and all of those insecurities. And there are too many of us who have followed the American dream and not quite gotten there. And there are too many of us that know better as well. When I say that, we're baby boomers, and so we know what the struggle is like. And we also know that all of us we're not monolithic. We are a community made up of a diverse population of human beings, right? And so to be lumped into one pot, certainly that is not who we are. So what I think, I wish I could tell you what I really think, but I can't.
but we are recording, but we could talk offline. But a lot of it is distraction.
A lot of it is distraction. A lot of it is about keeping us in what some people might think are our Black jobs.
We heard that, didn't we? Yeah, we heard that.
A lot of it is about disenfranchisement. A lot of it is about destruction of democracy. But we fought too long and too hard, and there are too many of us now. I had a Gen Zer say to me, "We've got the passion. Your generation has the experience. Knowledge. We've got to put those two things together." I said, "We have passion too. Y'all got energy, though."
That's true.
And it's good energy. And we have to do like John Lewis said. We have to be willing to get into good trouble.
I miss him. Yeah.
And so we have to speak out and say what, not just talk about it, but what's the expression? Don't just talk about it, be about it.
Be about it. Be about it. That is so
true. Having said that, we can't waffle on things like these boycotts that are being called.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people are like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know,
Right.
And part of that, I think, Dr. Toni, it has to do with leadership maybe. And the baby boomers had leaders that we could look to and point to and say, these were the people we would listen to. And this is pretty much, but now it's so many diverse voices, not that we're monolithic, but we had leaders that would lead and say this, but now we have so many different leaders, people who have they splinter. I don't want to say it's a Willie Lynch syndrome, but it pretty much is. It's like if you can keep them separated, then they will never know their
Well,
power.
Dr. Pam, you had that then. See, we romanticize the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but there were a whole lot of people that said we don't think peaceful marches are the answer.
Mm.
Yeah, there were people who said we don't think that's the way to go. There were those of us who said, it's Black power. We got to just take
Oh,
this, right? And
yeah,
they didn't
there were
agree
the
with
Black Panthers and things like that. That's
right.
true. That those that
So
followed
people
that.
didn't agree then. So they're going to be
Mhm.
there were people who didn't want to walk, right? They wanted to get on the bus, and everybody didn't get hosed down. Some were home.
Yeah, yeah,
So you
that's
have
true.
so we have a call now to boycott those companies. We're running an ad in the black press across the country is running an
NMPA.
NMPA, National Newspaper Publishers Association. The members agreed. There you are. All right.
So
We
we got he's the president of Ben Chavis. He has seen this before, right?
right.
He's seen a lot
So
of this before.
right. So
Hmm.
we ran an ad that said, "Don't buy from those who don't support us," or "Why are you supporting those who don't support us?" And
Oh,
we
I
call
love that.
and we call we so that's you're going to see that across the black press across the nation this week, and you're
Mm.
going to see it in both. And so we're calling names, and we're
And
calling for and we're targeting Target.
those are that's the leadership I was telling you about. That is, we need people who will lead, and the Black press and NMPA, they are the leaders of that. So you're calling out the name. We're looking at Target, and
As Jam-
people.
as as Pastor Jamal Bryant did a couple of weeks ago, he said, "Listen, when Lynn starts, let's do a 40-day fast from Target." Now, I understand that there are black brands that are there, and if we
Yeah,
really want to,
Tabitha
we
Brown
really
is a big
right,
proponent of in there.
right.
She
So
just
go
got
to
in
her
there,
web,
what, 3 years ago or something?
go to her, you really like her product, go to her website and order her product.
How about that? That's everybody shops online. Okay, so that's what I said the first time. I said, whatever you want, you can buy it online.
So
Yeah.
what we're hoping is that companies, because Target's just one, there are lots of them. Let's be focused about who we're doing, so we don't have this scatter shot or whatever you call it, splinter
Hmm.
kind of approach. And hopefully, we can have a meeting to talk about it with them and come to some different understanding.
Good. Yeah. And that's really the point. So that we
That's
can come to the table, you can hear our reasons, their rationale, our rationale, and come to some kind of way where it's going to work for everybody. Because, like you said, I think there's a company from Detroit, the Lip Bar. They have her lipstick on, and black owned lipstick company. She was not the Shark Tank declined really supporting her, and then finally she did the grit and grind, and she's like did it, and the Lip Bar is in Target, and it was a big deal. And this is the thing too, we have to look at ownership of things, not just being consumers, but ownerships of even the distribution channels. So we can make good movies, but we don't own the distribution. Or we can have you produce the Afro, distribute the Afro, those. So you own that, but there are other products and things where we don't own the distribution. So we can.
listen, Dr. Pam. Listen, if Facebook tells you what part of your friend group is going to get your post, we're not controlling social media like that, right? I do know somebody that does have his own platform and all of that, but the way this thing works now, the folk who are behind all, they can shut it down tomorrow
Hmm. They really
because
can.
we don't own that.
We don't. Yeah. And I tell people that all the time. I said, we don't own it. You have to figure out how to own it. If there was someone that says, oh, my Facebook, they took it away, I violated community standards or whatever. I said, well, did you have an email list? Can you email everyone? No, I don't have that. I said, well, you didn't really own it. You thought you were renting, you weren't the owner. So we have to get to the part of really realizing our intellectual capital, our gathering our financial power. It's trillion dollars. Those are the kind of things that I guess you would say this situation right now is because it's a wake-up call. I mean, we had a wake-up call in 2020. It was like, okay, well, let's not go back to normal. Now it's even more. There is I'm gonna play something because I want to get this book. I see it across the table. I'm gonna play this particular thing that's something new that I'm doing, talking about ownership. And then I'm gonna bring you back and we can kind of talk about this particular book. It's about publishers. Okay. So let's see, make sure. Is it in here? I want to make sure I put it in here. Okay, yeah. All right. So we'll be back right after this. Okay. All right, there we go. So I created that show because I got tired of begging people to allow my clients to get on the air. And that was the same reason why I did Speakers Magazine. I got tired of them not really putting us on the covers. This one here is Dr. Geneva Williams. She went to Morgan State University. I don't know if you know her or not. I don't know if you know her or not, but
I don't, but I did go to Morgan, so go Morgan.
yeah, that's what I was wondering if you knew. And so that was the thing of what Black newspapers is like. You want to control your own narrative, so you create your own table. If they won't allow you to come to the table, you build your own table. So this particular book right here, I saw in the airport, and you were in here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was Rosetta Perry. Yes,
that was Rosetta Perry, and what she did is she wrote about all the female publishers. And I mean, from Barbara Gordon to Janice Ware to Joycelyn Bramble. I mean, and this was history. Like, I didn't know all the stories of you guys, all the ladies that were part of that. And so she actually, in the airport, I believe in Nashville, she owns that. But it talked about a lot of the NMPA women. I mean, you know, Denise Roller Barnes is in here and all that kind of thing. So this right here is history. It's called Getting the Word Out. My show is called Get Out There and Get Known, but it's really, it's more than just getting known, but getting the word out, getting our messaging out. And so I just want to get a shout out to her as well. Rosetta Miller Perry, no relation, even though my name is Perry. We might be, who knows? We might be related, but this was so good. And I want to say it's not, it should be thicker than this. You know, more people should be doing that. But again, people have different roles that they have to fulfill, you know, in terms of being a publisher, but they can do their own TV show. They can do their own magazine. They can create their own, just ownership is the key. It's really the main key.
You're doing, you know, the podcast, the videos, all the things that, and we are creative people. So we certainly need to document and create, or create and document.
And in the beginning of this, she gives a phenomenal woman. She has a poem of Maya in the front, but it talks about the Black press over the last 182 years. And I just want people, and I think at the very end, Hazel Treese Edney, she wrote something there, tribute to the modern day stateswoman of the Black press. And they all happen to be in your area too. I just realized that a lot of
Black press is celebrating 200 years in 2027. Wow. So the first Black newspaper, Freedom's Journal, was founded by John Russwurm and Samuel Cornish, March of 1827. And their first editorial, they said, "We wish to plead our own cause. Too long too long have others spoken for us. Now that's 200 years ago.
That's not that long ago.
It's not that long.
Really, right. And then I saw, I get editor and publisher, and I don't have that, and I don't have another commercial, but I should have brought it. But she was the editor, publisher of the year from EMP, and I saw that as well, the Amsterdam News.
Yeah. Eleanor Tatum.
Yes. And that, again, you can see I'm geeking out on all this stuff, right? Because
you mentioned 3 or 4 of, there are 10 legacy publications, including the New York Amsterdam News that you mentioned, the Washington Informer, where Denise Rollick Barnes is a publisher, the Atlanta Voice, which whose publisher is Janice Ware, the Afro, and 6 others of us who have formed a corporation called Word in Black. And Word in Black is a digital startup, and so we in the Black press, it's a close knit family. So we're all members of NMPA. NMPA is our trade association. NMPA is our, right on the front line doing what they do, as you said, with Dr. Ben Chavis, right? And so the Black press is ever present, but I would be remiss if I didn't say there are probably only about 225, 30, 40 Black newspapers left in the entire country. That may sound like a lot, but take a state like Michigan, with all the towns that you have, or New York or California, you can see that that's really not a lot. So the technology helps level the playing field some, but there's still many communities that do not have the representation.
I know that the Michigan Chronicle, Hiram Jackson, shout out to Hiram.
Yep, he's a member of Word in Black. Yeah.
Yes. And I like how you all collaborated. Can you tell us a little bit how that collaboration came apart? Sure. And if you can give me the website, I can put that on there as well. Okay.
So it's wordinblack.com. Wordinblack.com. Okay. And so it grew out, it was incubated within the local media association. And so local media association is a membership organization, another trade association that has publications large and small, mostly not African-American owned, mostly. But one of their pillars, one of their goals is to amplify Black voices, that or underserved communities. So we came together under that umbrella originally just to collaborate on journalism.
Okay.
And after about and we did that. They made that a priority right after the brutal murder of George Floyd. So we raised dollars so that we could retain a staff to help us to pull all of that journalism together from the 10 of us, and then from Word in Black staff. And then last year in January of 2024, we decided we wanted to be our own independent, separate corporation. And we
ownership.
Ownership. So we formed a public benefit corporation. That's just a tax status, where we said we were going to put more emphasis on mission than on money, even though it's a regular corporation. But the mission to amplify Black voices, to address racial inequities in America, across America, with the 10 of us, in addition to what we do through NMPA, for example. But this is a business. This is a separate business. It's not a trade association. It is a business.
Right. It is a business, and people can subscribe to it, or they can read.
Well, they can sign up for newsletters. So we have different newsletters like climate justice, health, education, different newsletters. They're free, and so we need people to sign up for those because numbers matter. Numbers, no matter what media you're in, numbers matter.
Numbers matter. And then how can a lot of my audience, they are interested in getting out there and getting known, and so there's an opportunity for them to pitch you at the Afro. Absolutely. Or to pitch Word in Black. How would they go about doing that, I guess you would say?
So for the Afro, I'm sorry. For the Afro, they can just send an email to editor@afro.com. But if you go to afro.com, you'll see a lot of information. You'll see people's names if you want to write to them directly. But editor@afro.com, you want to pitch a story.
Okay.
We'd love to have it, because the more the merrier, right?
Word. I want to say something about the Afro, though. There's a young lady. Her name is Megan, I believe, and
Megan
she wrote,
Sales.
what is it, Megan Sales? She's still
Mhm.
there.
Yes,
Love her, love her.
we
She did
love
a
her.
story. She did a story on Rodney Seaburst, who you met, and a few years ago, and she did an excellent. We pitched her. I told him, he lives in Baltimore. I said, you pitch her. And Megan at that time, I want to say, was just there because this was a few years ago. It's had to be in 2021 maybe. um,
Yeah.
and she wrote the story. She did such a great job researching. So I just want to say to you that she is an excellent, excellent journalist. I love her, and I think she was in EMP for like some
Yeah,
kind of
for
award. She
like we nominated her for, they did like
20 under 30 under 30 or
30 under 30 or 30 under whatever. Yeah, 30, something
yes,
like that. 30 under
yes.
30. Megan came to us straight from college.
Oh, okay. She's
She was
excellent.
excellent. She was a Report for America fellow.
That was it. Report for America. That was it. And you could tell
And
she just has a heart for community.
right. And at the end of her fellowship, um, she said she wanted to stay on, and we were ecstatic that she's still with us.
Yes, she is good. And I want to say, in terms of getting press, really changed the trajectory for Rodney. He loved the article. He put it on the plaque. He made copies of it. He mailed it to potential clients. It really made a difference for him to have his story told. Now, I told him that, I said, they want to support you, but you have to support them. So every time that there is an opportunity for you to support the Black press, I want you to do that. And
Yeah.
I think he met you at your event. I'm not sure, but I did tell him to go to your anniversary event. But that's the same thing I tell with Denise. I said, we're going to support you. So you just tell us how,
Right.
just tell us how.
So for the Afro, for example, we have a paid subscription now. This model, this model of subscriptions, anybody who hears this number I'm getting ready to tell you, that's not covering the cost, right? So right now for $80 for a whole year, this is Black History Special, you can get both the print and the digital for $80 for a whole year. That's not even covering postage, right?
I was going to say the postage is going to be more than that, right?
And,
But
right. And so some people do that and they say, you know what, I only want the digital. I'm going to give the print to whomever. Or I
yeah,
only want to print and I'm going to gift the digital. It's still the same $80. Now you can do digital only as well. It's usually $100, but it's $80. We say less than the cost of 2 Uber Eats. Right?
yeah,
Subscribe. Uh,
right.
I encourage people, subscribe to the Black newspaper in your community.
Yes, yes.
Most of us, we thrive on the numbers. We go to the websites, read the stories,
Comment and share and hit the little share button from time to time.
yeah, you know, follow us on social. So we, as many, we're on every social platform, including,
TikTok.
Twitter and all of them. So yeah, like they say, all of them, we're there. So follow us on Afro News. That helps. That helps a lot.
There was our December issue of Speakers Magazine. I don't have it handy because I did some cleaning up here. There was a young lady, her name is Kelsey Russell. Found out about her in EMP. And what she does is she reads physical newspapers on TikTok. 100,000 subscribers, okay, or so far. And we had her on the cover of December. And actually, that December issue had Eleanor in there, Denise. It was a tribute to the Black press. So even though she reads all types of newspapers, New York Times, whatever, but she's a Gen Z. People her age are like, oh my God, you read this in the paper, and then she's holding it up and that sort of thing. And it's really, she makes it like a job. It's like her job, and she is doing that. Her name is Kelsey Russell. Was on the cover of December, but that whole thing. I think Jamel Hill. She's a Black journalist, so she was in there as well. And
Mhm.
then there was some other. Let's see, it was Black. Obviously, Ben was in there. Dr. Ben Chavis was in there as well. But like you said, in terms of Black press, there's only like 200 and something that are across the country. I think Cleveland, was it Cleveland? Ohio, not Cleveland, because Cleveland has one. I think it was Toledo. Toledo, Ohio, which is not far from Detroit. And
Right.
I was asking one of my clients, I said, does Toledo have a Black newspaper? And we looked and looked, and they had one in the 1800s, but there's not one now. I'm
Yeah,
like,
they had
wow.
one after that too. They had one in the 2000s, and so I'm not sure anymore. But if people go to nnpa.org or Black Press
Mhm.
USA, they can find a list of the Black
All of
newspapers in the city. Mhm.
Yes, and they can support them and do those kind of things. And when you all have events, because you did talk about your I guess we say your anniversary, your birthday event that you had. It was a few years back.
Right, it was a few years ago. We had a 130th. We'll be 133 in August, so we had a 130th um, anniversary or birthday celebration,
Hmm.
and so that
And
was really nice. It was wonderful, and not just nice. It was wonderful.
so you want to do that again soon? The milestone year is like 35, or you're going to do
135.
40?
We'll do it at 135 because 135 coincides with the 200th anniversary of the Black Press as well.
Oh, okay.
We'll
I love that.
plan that, but
I
we have
love
a plan that we have a lot of events all during the year. We're getting ready to do Who's Who in Black, Baltimore, in partnership with Real Times Media that owns the Michigan Chronicle.
There you go. Hiram knows about those events, and we know about those events for sure. And so, Who's Who in Black Baltimore? When's that going to happen?
April 9th, Wednesday, April 9th. And
Okay.
so Hiram Jackson and his team will
Kathy
come down.
Ned and
We partnered with them for that event, and the information just went out yesterday and today and all week. Everybody doesn't have everything yet, but all week people will be getting their letter that says congratulations, you're in Who's Who in Black Baltimore.
let me tell you.
They're posting all over the place.
Oh, that is such a thing. And the reason why getting awards or getting recognitions is because typically African Americans in these award shows and things like that, we don't get this kind of recognition. So part of it is some of it is systemic, but some of it is cost, because a lot of times in order to win a lot of the awards, I know even like in PR and advertising awards, it's like $1,200 to apply for the award or to be on somebody's list of Forbes or whoever. And a lot of companies like, you know what, I'd rather take those resources and put them somewhere else. So having the Who's Who, or in Michigan, we have the Women of Excellence Award. All of those things are just really things that matter to us. It puts us a place in history. I love that, put a place in history. And then in the Baltimore area, there's a few. This particular person, Brian Oles, is in Baltimore area. Dr. Marcia, Quinn Conyers, all of them. So on April 9th, whether they win or not, Cheryl Wood, whether they win or not, I want them to come to the event because they can come to the event.
They can come to the event. The other thing about the event, yes, it does give us an opportunity to be celebrated, but it also gives young people a different narrative.
So they can see themselves differently.
Because to be in some media, you have to do something wrong to make the front page, to even have there at all.
Right.
Or it's just one or two people who get selected to be featured in the local papers. It's a local, general audience paper. Yeah, so I'm not knocking that they're trying to be general audience, but Black Press, we're not trying to be general audience. We really are not. We are focused on the African American community, so we can afford to have these events that lift up our community, so that young people, especially, can say, you know what, there's something I can be like that. I can do what he's doing. I can do what she's doing, and they can see a lot of good examples of that with these events, and so that's really a motivator for us to continue to do that and to celebrate the good work that people are doing.
I love that. That is so important to do. And I just want to thank you. I know we went a little bit longer, but I was just so excited to talk with you. I know we went a few minutes over, but I wanted to just you to kind of pull out all the things that you're doing. I know you're going to do more things as well. So always feel free to come back and promote whatever you're doing, because I always try to do that as well.
Well, all good. Right. Well, this is my book.
Okay.
It's a hardcover.
Is that the one with your grandfather's prayers?
It is.
Okay.
Prayers. That his prayer, but it's not. It is. There are a lot of prayers there,
But
but the
it's
thing that
historical as well. Yeah.
it's the you know, pictures from the 30s and 40s and things like that.
Which
And I
is
don't like to see the past. I like to go towards the future, but there's just so much here. If you don't know your past, you're
you're
gonna
going to repeat it.
yes,
Hmm.
you're gonna repeat the bet. So it's also another encouragement. Um, and to have Carl Murphy, who wrote such hard hitting editorials, I mean, he just would hammer folk, and then you
Mm,
see what really propelled him, which was his faith.
yeah. And that when you think about things like that, what he did is like there's really no excuses for us because he did it during a time when what you would, just unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. The strength, the resilience to really just push forward. And so you do want to know, like, what is that secret sauce that he had? And it's
Right.
in the book. And
It's
that's one
and if
reason why I love the written word because they can leave that legacy and we can read their success clues.
so the other thing the book is, I know we're going to wind up. The other thing I hope the book will do will encourage other people. Write it down. Think about how many things we just delete now. Write it down. If you can't write, if you don't want to write it down, at least pick up the cell phone. You pick it up for everything else and start to talk. Leave a legacy for people
Mhm.
for
That
your
is
next for your. We were blessed because we were in a family that wrote things down and took
right.
all kinds of pictures, right? Because we were in a newspaper family. So what do you do in a newspaper family? You take pictures.
Mhm. Mhm.
But other people have rich histories. We're not the only ones. We just been fortunate enough to write it down for all
Yeah,
of these generations. So I encourage people, please write it down
that
and
is
pass it
that is
along.
that is. You have encouraged me to make sure that my family, I have a mother-in-law and a father-in-law that are 90, will be 95 and 94 this month. And I did have we wrote a story about them a few years back, and this was about how they met and that kind of thing. But I'm going to do more interviews with them just
Excellent.
because,
And
just to have it for my grandchildren when I have some. Uh, not
and then
for,
use AI because
yeah,
AI used responsibly is a great tool.
yeah,
If
use responsibly. Hmm.
you record them and let AI take it and write it, you don't have to even write it up yourself. AI will transcribe it and you can get it written, and then there you have it.
I love it. Listen, my mother-in-law called me the other day. She says, I want to get all my recipes together and put them in a book. She would want to do this for Christmas. And I think it was like maybe a couple of weeks before. I'm like, I don't know if we can get the book done in a couple of weeks, but can you get your recipes together? And we could probably, like you said, use AI, take pictures of
Yep.
them, have them transcribed, and then we can get them in the book. It'll take a little bit longer than a couple of weeks. But, she just thinks that, well, you do that magazine. Can't you get this? I said, it takes a little bit longer than a couple of weeks to get a book together. But yeah, that is really
But we
good.
have an Afro cookbook people can order. We have an Afro cookbook. We reprinted the correspondence from World War II, from our war correspondence, because one of my grandfather's daughters was in the 6888. So we've got all kinds of stuff. Go to afro.com.
Oh my God. She was in the I just saw that on Netflix not too long ago. Okay. So this is why I needed to have you in February, even though, during Black History Month. So you have just given us a lot to really think about and to do for sure. And make sure that you go to Word in Black as well. I love the perspective that you have, and I'm glad that you all have control of that. And the narratives of it you can't find anywhere else. So I really, really love that. Dr. Angela said, Hard Max, she says legacy is important to my parents. Yes, that is so true. So thank you for watching, and thank you so much. Dr. Francis Tony. Do you go by Dr. Tony or Dr. Francis or Dr. Draper or Reverend Doctor? You got a
Yeah,
lot of titles.
I've been called a lot of things. Most, most people call me Tony. I'm named for my
Tony.
mother, but she would want you to know if she were still here, that I'm named for her. So my name is Francis. My grandfather had 5 daughters, so all of us have Murphy. Most of us, not all, have Murphy in the middle of our names.
Wow, that's it. Like Vashti. Vashti is Vashti Murphy. Yes, that's it.
He
That
had
is.
all
I
daughters, no sons, so all of his grandchildren.
have
But
have that name, the legacy. That is so important.
yeah,
That is so important. Well, thank you so much. And people can go to editor@afro.com if they have a story, or they can make sure they go to the Word in Black. I will say this: if you want to be featured in any of the publications or any of the media, consume the media. Okay, it's reciprocal. So consume it, and then they will write. It's a community newspaper. So there is a back and forth that you have to have. It's kind of like with the Michigan Chronicle. I grew up when it was green. Sam Logan used to have it. The Shestak family had it before that, but the paper used to be green, and we grew up reading it. And so it was just natural to just reach out to them if we had something going on, because we knew them. So we didn't mind asking them to cover something. But if you don't read it, I can see why people don't like to pitch, because they're not connected. So stay connected. That's all I want to say. Just stay connected. So thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Toni. This has been really, really good. And I will keep in touch with you. April 9th sounds like a really good event. I'm going to try and get people to come there as well. Okay.
Thank you very much.
All righty. God bless you. Take care.
God bless you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast, brought to you by PamPerryPR.com, where you'll get insider tips on how to build your platform, pitch the media, and promote yourself with confidence. Head over to PamPerryPR.com and get the exclusive video training on the 7 must-have marketing materials you need before you pitch in order to be considered in media places or superstar stages. PamPerryPR.com.